All right, it's day 4, I guess, of the Homeric thing where I'm doing the reciting stories from the Iliad. Yeah, the point of what I'm doing here is not to replicate necessarily the Iliad. It's also not necessarily to create something entirely new. It is simply a means of trying to be kind of like strengthen the muscle of being able to tell things that feel like the story from my own head without referencing anything, hence the blindfold. It occurs to me I should probably make clear who Milman Parry was, who I've mentioned a few times. I don't know if anybody's actually watching these and then wondering that. But he was a guy in the early 1900s, I think it was the early 1900s, who went to Yugoslavia to study the guys there who were still, and I think still do now, recite stories from memory in the style that people, Milman Parry sort of like studied this and then made the connection that like this gives us more insight than anything we've ever seen into how Homer and his ilk would have been, creating and reciting stories. So, that's kind of like what I'm doing here, is trying to somehow, to some extent, like, evoke that or grow that muscle, I guess. All right, let's give it a shot. Sing, goddess, sing of the rage of Peleus' son. Sing of the men who were cast down into the undergloom of Hades' realm, whose corpses have littered the fields of Troy, near to the beach in the Achaean camp and out on the plains. A feast for dogs and vultures to raven on throughout the hot days and the cool nights. And how did this occur, goddess? It began with the son of Atreus giving assembly to the Achaeans. He was approached by the priest, the father of Chryses, and Chryses approached with his staff of office in hand, the staff given to him by the god Apollo. He begged of the king, "O great Onyx, please return to me my daughter Chryseis. You may take the city of Troy, I care not. I have no connection to them. I ask only that mine own be returned. I bring gifts numberless. I empty my house of treasures. If only you will provide me this one thing." The great Agamemnon was enraged at this. He cast his glance around at the various Greek captains, who seemed to be on the side of this priest who appeared out of nowhere in front of his assembly, with all of his men looking on. He spake unto the priest with hurtful words. "Get thee gone, priest. I do not agree to do this thing. I do not agree to any of your terms. This woman was won by my spear, by the spear of the Achaeans and all of the men underneath me. I will not give her up. I will not give up the glory won by myself and by my men for anything. She will grow old in my house in Argos, and you will live out your days here, if lucky you be, if I do not stop you first. Now get out of here before I change my mind." The priest was saddened at this. He walked his way through the men, who all were looking on in sorrow and some in sympathy. But it was no matter. He came back to his dwelling. He prepared a sacrifice to the great Lord of the sun and of light and of mice and of plague. And he slit the throat of a black yew upon the altar that he had made to Apollo, begging, "O great Lord of the sun, if only you will grant me this one thing. If I have ever sacrificed to you, if I have ever made worthy sacrifices in your name before and shared the rich fat upon the fire, please do this for me and bring vengeance upon these Achaeans who presume to take my only daughter away from me." Soon as he said this, Apollo roused himself from his couch on Olympus. He took up his quiver and his bow, and he began his deadly work. Arrows of plague struck the ground around the camp, and from these places mice sprouted up in the plains. As the men were feasting, the dogs began howling. No one knew why. They had been bitten on the legs and had been infected with plague, and before long the men too were falling. And for 9 days the Achaean camp was overtaken by sickness and death. The corpses were piling too high for the common grave mounds, and the fires were burning day and night to rid themselves of these human carrion. Finally, it had been too much. Achilles decided that it could not go on. Either he and his men would have to leave and abandon their hope of taking the wide-wide town of Troy, or they must put a stop to this. They must find out what had happened. Achaean called all the men. He called Agamemnon and sent his ward Patroclus to summon the great king to the assembly. Angered at this was Agamemnon, but he kept his tongue firmly within his teeth for the time being. Once all were assembled, all the captains and great men of the Achaeans, the fast runner, the son of Peleus, spoke. "Great Agamemnon, I think we did not all agree with what you had chosen to do earlier. However, we all went along with it. I see only one reason why this plague may be cast upon us today and for this past 9 days. But let us not use the theories of mere mortals as myself. Let us call one of the wise ones of our camp. Calchas, step forward. Tell us why this plague is occurring. Tell us what god may be angered at the Danaans today." Calchas took a trembling step forward, but did not offer his wisdom. "Oh, great Achilles, I do in fact know why this has occurred and why we be suffering, but I cannot say so. What if it be a great man who I shall accuse? What then? A common man may be shouted down, but a great one, someone who has true power, can hold his tongue for now, and then when no one is thinking about anything anymore, he may lash out and he may punish the one who did him wrong. It be not myself who has any opinion, but the God who told me. However, it matters not. Anger is anger, no matter the cause, and I will be the brunt of it, no matter the just nature of such a thing." Achilles saw the sense in this, and he offered up his own sword. "Dear Calchas, I see what you be saying, and even if it be Agamemnon you're talking about, the leader of all the Achaeans, the one who calls himself greatest of the Danaans, and the assembled host here before you, even if it be he, I will protect you. No one will be able to retaliate for news that you merely bring and do not cause yourself. So hearing, Calchas spake. And from this point forward, the rift that split open the Achaeans, the Danaans, the raiding army upon the Trojan shores, had split open. Yea, goddess, 'tis a terrible thing. And more woes were to come than had touched the Achaeans in the entire 9 years of that war. All right. I think that one was, I didn't like that one as much as the last one. I didn't add as many interesting flourishes there. There were some nice little pieces. I think it got more stilted, actually. But, you know, it's a process. Not every day is going to be better than the previous one. Yeah, it's just about doing it every time. I don't really think it's going to, you know, be like a constant, like, climbing thing on the graph. But I'm happy I did it, and I think I did it better than the first day, at least. I don't know about better than yesterday. But yeah. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to sort of like catch the spirit of Homeric verse, and, you know, not taking into account like translating anything. I'm not even looking at anything, as you can see. And just reciting aspects of the Iliad from memory in order to better be able to write my own stuff in the style of the Iliad for the game project that I'm working on. You can see the making of my game that I'm doing, which is a 2D, I don't know what you'd call it, a side-scrolling, I guess, RPG. Not really side-scrolling. It's a 2D RPG roguelike with the visual style of a Greek red figure pottery. You can see hundreds at this point of making of videos that I've been doing on my channel. Yeah, I don't even know that I'm going to put a lot of this like Homeric verse type stuff into the build that I will first put out onto itch.io or wherever I'm putting it. But, you know, I feel like what I'm trying to do here is going to take many, many days and weeks and months. So better to start on it now so that I'll be able to have this kind of like skill somewhat practiced by the time I get to the next build that would go up, which would be a larger version of the game, which would include more of that type of stuff. So, you know, again, proud that I am continuing to do it, and we'll see what tomorrow brings with this stuff. All right.